2 years ago, architect Ahmed Dangiwa, the Honourable Minister of Housing, took office under the Renewed Hope administration. Tasked with one of Nigeria's most urgent national priorities, housing, the minister stepped into a role that demanded vision, resilience, and action.
With your capable, bold, and history-making leadership, we intend to turn the country into a giant construction site in our quest not just to provide affordable homes and decent communities in Nigeria.
To make this historic groundbreaking here today, I've listened carefully to the able minister's theme on the housing development. He understands how to propel the engine of growth, stability, economic resurgence of Nigeria.
Nigeria's housing deficit estimated at over 17 million units. The minister was handed a bold and clear directive: deliver affordable, accessible, and sustainable housing for all Nigerians. From policy reform to on-the-ground delivery, the minister's task was to move beyond promises and build progress.
First and foremost, we believe that we need to declare a state of emergency on housing. And it's in both the area of the quantity and the quality of the housing stock that we have. A lot has been said about housing deficits and the need to get it right this time. We believe that some thorny issues have been plaguing our industry for some years, and we truly believe that this is the time to solve and resolve these issues. Some of them revolve around housing finance, and I'm glad that our Honourable Minister is a guru in that area. So I'm not going to bore you with the issues because I'm sure they are well articulated in other forums. Also, access to land is a big problem for developers like us. Both the quality of the infrastructure and the quality of the title. So we believe very strongly that this time around, given that we are here to support the Honourable Minister, we are going to have a situation where access to developable land becomes available for developers like ourselves.
To be able to solve housing problems in Nigeria, you need to collaborate and partner. You need to collaborate and partner with some of your co-ministers to be able to, achieve the issue of housing or solve the issue of housing in Nigeria. We have no doubt that with you in the industry, and I'm very happy too that we have a lot of developers here, with you in the industry, that you are going to collaborate with all major players and involve professionals, so that at the end of the day, at the end of your tenure, we are very hopeful that the issue of housing in Nigeria will soon be a thing of the past.
Key achievements in 2 years. Launch of the Renewed Hope Cities and Estates project. Under the minister's leadership, the ministry initiated Renewed Hope Cities and Estates across all 6 geopolitical zones, a model that integrates housing with schools, hospitals, and markets to create livable, functional communities. In collaboration with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, and private developers, thousands of housing units have been commissioned, targeting low and middle income earners.
Since inception, we realized that we can't do it alone. We can't provide for all, even the number of houses, we can't do it alone. That's why we imbibed the culture of bringing in the private sector. Under the public-private partnership of our ministry, we invited interested developers who came on board. And then we intend to ensure that we as a government will provide the enabling environment by one providing sometimes even the infrastructure, sometimes we provide the land, sometimes we provide the off-take guarantee in order for the private sector to have confidence and come and invest. And it has been successful because so far we have drawn over 70 billion naira into the private sector to who they are developing. In fact, the houses that are being built in Lagos and Abuja and Kano, they are all the private sector initiative under the PPP. And they have so far delivered over 6,000 of the 10,000 housing units we are saying we have delivered currently within our 2 years in office.
Revamping the mortgage system, the minister championed reforms that made mortgage financing more accessible. With interest rates lowered and tenure extended, more Nigerians now qualify for home ownership than ever before. Slum regeneration and affordable housing finance. Urban renewal projects have begun in Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, and Abuja, converting informal settlements into dignified, serviced neighborhoods through public-private partnerships, digital reform, and transparency. A nationwide land digitization program was launched to tackle title insecurity, reduce fraud, and encourage local and foreign housing investments.
A significant step in the current administration efforts to implement long-overdue reforms. These reforms are essential to unlocking the immense potential of Nigeria's landed assets for economic growth, wealth creation, poverty reduction, capital accumulation, and the national development through the National Land Registration, Documentation and Titling Program.
The Honourable Minister is widely regarded for a leadership style marked by accessibility, data-driven policy, and interagency coordination. From hosting housing investment summits to engaging grassroots stakeholders, the Minister has pushed for a housing agenda that is not only top-down, but people-centered.
With limited financing, it is important for us as a continent to adopt a ground-up approach and domestic strategy that takes us into consideration the peculiarities of our housing needs. This will help us in developing sustainable and resilient housing solutions that meet the needs of our people. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as you are all aware, housing is a basic need and the right of every human being. However, while housing is a right, access to it depends on the financial ability of individuals and the capacity and will of government to intervene to create the enabling environment for its provision. We all know that the current state of housing in our continent is far from where it ought to be. Last month I was in Kenya, someone was saying it's 51 million, out of which Nigeria has a deficit of over 50% of 28 million. Today I heard it's almost 90-something million. We know all that the current state of housing in our continent is far from where it ought to be. We have a dual challenge of inadequate housing supply to meet the population growth and substandard housing which does not meet the conditions of habitability, safety, security, comfort, sanitation, and accessibility.
But the road has not been without hurdles. Rising inflation, and the cost of building materials have slowed project timelines. Land access and intergovernmental bureaucracy remain significant obstacles. The ministry still battles a legacy of underfunding and low confidence in public housing.
There is always challenges in every business we do. Quite well on the public PPP sector, which we are doing. First of all, they always encounter the issue of land, getting access to land, at least from the locations we intend to do. And these locations are three of them: Abuja, Lagos, and Kano. But in the long run, if you can't give them land, they have to now purchase the land. And when you purchase the land, you add to the cost of the construction of the houses in terms of selling prices. And the other challenge is that of funding, which is always a problem, especially in the housing sector. And these are some of the challenges we have encountered. And we are overcoming it in the sense that we have achieved a lot to that an extent. We're delivering currently, and we intend to start commissioning these houses, especially on the renewed hope cities that we have. Also on the renewed hope estates, we have similar challenge and delay in funding, especially when it comes to delivery of these houses. But as I told you, we have overcoming them and intend to deliver these houses any moment from now.
2 years on, the Honourable Minister of Housing has steered the complex ministry through a time of economic uncertainty and high public expectation, with clarity of vision and commitment to results. The blueprint has been drawn, the groundwork is visible, and the promise of a home for every Nigerian is, alas, within reach.
One thing we have to know that government cannot provide all. So that's why the government funding has to be sustained in such a way that there should be sustained an increase in the budgetary allocations for housing, because it's a one fund. Whatever you provide the government fund for construction of houses under the budgetary allocations, I assure you 60% of that funding will be returned back to the government at the end of the construction. If you give us 300 billion, I assure you within the next 2 years of completion of those houses, 200 billion after the sale of those houses will be returned back to you, because at least 100 can be used to subsidize the cost of the houses, or 150. So something will have to be returned to it. That's what I want the government, especially the budget unit of the government, to know, that funding housing, apart from the fact that substantial part of this funding will return back to government, you are creating jobs for Nigerians. Okay. And apart from creating jobs, you are empowering the local economies and ensure that you sustain it. That is the only way to do it.